Week of Action is just a couple of months away, and you have 3 exciting choices. You can choose one of 2 service trips to Berlin or Sri Lanka. In Berlin, you will tour the city through the IB's goals of creativity, action, and service. In Sri Lanka, you will build a new classroom for a local school. You can choose to remain local and design your own project. Ideas in the past have included beach cleanups, worker appreciation gifts, and mural painting. Or you can travel to Jordan to serve as a delegate at the 3rd Annual Compassion Summit, a conference for students where you will work with your team to develop a compassionate action plan for your school. Week of Action is an annual activity in many international schools worldwide. This year, your school's focus is on compassion. What choice will you make? How do you want to make a difference? In the end, about half of our students chose the service trips, with the majority opting for Sri Lanka. The other half chose to remain local, and no one chose the Compassion Summit, despite multiple information sessions and pleas from myself. This was particularly surprising to me as co-founder of the Compassion Summit. And at my last school, 43 students had registered in the first year. Why, at this new school, was compassion met with blank stares? Service is sexy. Compassion is not. Service allows us to give to the poor, travel the world with the aim of helping those in need, fundraise for important causes. Compassion requires us, first and foremost, to be kind. Pema Chodron, an American Buddhist nun, states that compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. Compassion is a relationship between equals. Ultimately, compassion and service are one and the same. Compassion is an action that can and should help others. However, compassion can also help ourselves, for it begins with the self. Compassion can also help our local communities, be they schools, cities, and organizations. Compassionate action begins when we turn our eyes inward. Sadly, service has become an outward-facing activity. These are usually one-time events that make us feel good in the short term. A service trip to the global south that is more tourism than service. Voluntourism. A bake sale. A worker appreciation luncheon. Tree planting in the forest. The aim of service, really, is sustainable impact. And if we are to achieve that aim, perhaps we need to rethink how we do service. The students who traveled to Berlin ended up with a diverse and fun week of activities, from graffiti street art to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They spent one afternoon with a group of refugees. The students who chose Sri Lanka had an amazing trip. They did do some building work, and they met the impoverished students who attended the school. The students who remained local created a worker appreciation bulletin board and painted several murals around the school. For each of these groups, 2 questions arise. To what end, and what is a sustainable impact? One father actually commented on how his daughter had arrived home changed, only to discover 2 months on that nothing had really changed at all. This is often the case with the voluntourism movement. Thankfully, 4 students did attend the Compassion Summit. They joined 117 other students from 18 different schools and 11 different countries. They spent 3 days learning about compassion through keynotes and workshop sessions. Most importantly, they engaged in a design sprint and used design thinking to develop compassionate action plans for their schools. They ideated solutions to problems such as friendship issues at school, poor teacher and student relationships due to stress, garbage at lunch, and bullying and harassment. This evolved into high-impact solutions such as friendship clubs, social lunch bunches, assessment redesign, well-being ambassadors, recycling, awareness campaigns, and much, much more. These students developed short-cycle action plans based on human-centered design that places empathy at the forefront. They went home, implemented their plans, iterated new ideas, and implemented again. To what end? Improved school culture, greater empathy, local problems solved. What was the sustainable impact? A focus on compassionate systems, student agency that led to student leadership, increased kindness, an understanding of the need for compassion and ongoing compassionate action. By looking inward and solving local problems, we begin to impact outward, creating compassionate mindsets that will change the world. Peace begins in schools, and it begins with compassionate action. In pairing compassion with design thinking, I arrived at a model that places compassion at the center of creativity, innovation, and human flourishing. We often seek innovation and new experiences. Whether it is that exciting new service trip or an exciting new makerspace in our schools, we strive for new adventures and ideas. However, if we are actually to create, innovate, ultimately flourish, we must begin with compassion. When we are kind to ourselves and others, we create safe spaces of belonging. When we feel safe, we become courageous. And when we embrace the courage to create, we innovate and impact. Therefore, compassion elevates innovation. In fact, compassion causes innovation. And innovation is what we need to reimagine our service programs. It starts by building a habit of daily kindness. A habit is a choice. It is an action. It begins with a smile, each and every day, even when we don't feel like it, even when we don't connect with someone. When we empathize with local problems and design for human solutions, we create our ideal and preferred futures. When we look inward, we impact outward. Peace begins in schools. You are finally going to be the generation that places people before profit. Start now. Start with compassion. A smile is an action. Thank you.